We are going live. Welcome Edward to our Success Mastermind. I'm sure we got some people tuning in here any moment. I am John Lavenia. Glad to be here with you. Just got out of the gym and was wrapping up some business, and then threw on a shirt which you've probably never seen me wear before. And this is actually my only piece of Burberry garment. I bought this in Heathrow Airport in London, back when people were free to travel and all that, right? So back in the early days. So glad to be here with you guys. Got a couple ideas that I'm going to share with you here today. And we also have a quick announcement. Let me see. We did not have practical entrepreneurial tips this morning. That happens every other week with our friend Ego Obi out of the United Kingdom. But we do have our Be Heard session, which is going to be at 6 p.m. Eastern US time today. I will be back here with everyone for that. So if there's any questions or ideas that our members want to share, that is the place to come for me to listen and for you to talk. Hey, Suzanne from Switzerland, good to see you. So a couple ideas that were coming up for me today. I was in the gym and I was making a decision today about, do I do the music thing or do I do the audiobook thing? And I said, you know what, let's do the audiobook thing today. I could use some ammo. And so I turned on Think and Grow Rich audiobook by Napoleon Hill. And one of the things he was talking about, just when I tuned in, was this personal inventory. This is in a chapter on organized planning. For any of you who've read that book, certainly for everyone here in this group, you've got the entire book study archives, right, where we went through every chapter of that book. We took a week on each chapter, so it was a 15-week experience, right? Because there's 13 principles plus the prologue, thoughts or things, plus the epilogue, the Six Ghosts of Fear. Tremendous book if you've ever read it. But one of the chapters on organized planning, which is one of the principles that he talked about, because if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail, right? But he talked about taking an annual inventory of your improvements, or your deficits where you may have you see some area for improvement, and to do this earnestly and honestly to the point where you can make a proper assessment each year at the end of the year. Now we're not at the end of the year yet, but he suggests doing this at the end of the year to ask yourself some questions. And these are good questions to ask yourself as it relates to your own ability to market your personal services. Keep in mind, this book was written in a time when people were looking for employment, right? This came out right during the Great Depression. People were looking at, well, what can I do to support myself and my family? The purpose of the book, by the way, was to help men lift themselves out of the fear that had gripped society because of all the adverse conditions and things that were going on. We could say that it's not so different than today, right? History tends to repeat itself. And I'm not saying that we're in a Great Depression, but there is certainly a push towards, having a society in a state of chronic fear. So the truth, right? When we shine, the light of exposure, the lie dies, right? So he was attempting to, and he very successfully did, get the message of personal marketability into the minds of many people who have then gone on and executed, sound plans and have amassed fortunes and et cetera. But one of the things that he said was that if you have nothing else at this point, you do have your personal services. So that's where you start. And so let's make plans to market those personal services into the marketplace and to serve our fellow man or our potential employer, our customer, right? And I look at that because I think all of us, when we consider what is our best move in terms of being able to not only support yourself, your family, but to create affluence and opulence and live a lifestyle that is pleasing for you. In my experience, the best investments that I've ever made are those that increase my ability to earn. So to bring it to a more modern time, right? So here's Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and Cash Flow Quadrant, and that whole series of Rich Dad books. But one of the things that he talks about is the difference between earned income and capital gains. Earned income, right, which is one way to make money, Out of all the ways, there's two ways to make money. There's people working, and then there's money working, right? So this is the first way, which is people working. So this is you providing a benefit. That could be you selling something. That could you be doing some sort of a service, offering some sort of an opportunity where you are either causing benefits to be delivered or inducing others to deliver benefits, right? So there's leverage. Okay, so it's still earned income, but it's a leveraged income where you're inducing others to deliver benefits into the marketplace, and therefore money is earned. There's nothing mysterious about this. Okay, so we see this all the time. You voluntarily exchange money for products, services, and whatever the offers are that you want to participate in. So what he's saying is let's make ourselves personally marketable in that way. That is a good investment. That's good planning, right? If you intend to serve your fellow man with your unique talents and abilities. On the other side, we have capital gains, which sound really sexy, right? I mean, here's money working. I'm not showing up. I'm not providing benefits or valuable services or whatever, but this money is growing because I've invested, and I've invested in what? Other people's competence, other people's marketable services, corporations, et cetera. Okay. Now, it's an interesting thing that when we look at what Kiyosaki talks about in like Rich Dad, Poor Dad and all this, he, certainly advises that you go through the quadrants, right? So that for those who are not familiar, there's the employee quadrant, the self-employed, the business owner, and the investor. Those first three have to do with earned income, whether or not you get leverage, right? Depends on which quadrant we're talking about. Even the self-employed person tends to lack leverage. Okay, but the business owner or the bigger business owner now has, employees and other sources of income. Okay, people working, plural, not just you working, people working, inducing others to deliver benefits. But that capital gains quadrant or that investor quadrant, right? That's one where it's a major departure from the earned income mentality. We've sometimes talked here in this group about employing both. That would be a good thing to do. So let's say you've got sound plans, right? You're having, you're executing your plan, you're delivering value into the marketplace, you're earning income. Can you take part of that money and put it to use and have it find gainful employment for itself? And I'm not talking about some, amazing gold bullion falling from heaven, or what a lot of people are losing money in crypto and, whatever the stories are. And a lot of people make money in crypto too. But here's the interesting thing. While it seems good and right, and is right for you to grow your money, to have money working for you, when we look at the Great Depression back in the, after the Roaring 20s, right, 1929, stock market collapse, what even caused that? Well, it was the whole capital gains world and the greed of people looking for something for nothing and buying on margin. I don't want to confuse you if you're not familiar with, how people invest on margin or trade on margin. What that basically means is here's a broker. They're going to buy the stocks, the contracts, whatever it is that's being exchanged, right, on the stock exchange or the CME, right? But you don't have to have all that money to buy the full value of the contract. You just have a certain amount of money that you deposit with the broker, and they're going to do your bidding for you because they've got the bankroll. Okay. But then there's this thing called a margin call, which is like, you know what, everybody needs to pay up. Your account's too low. You got to pay the full amount now of whatever contracts, whatever it is that you've purchased via our brokerage. Right. And then when things started coming apart for people, because they were all leveraged, they were all buying on margin, right? And all the margin calls came in, everybody went broke. Okay. People couldn't meet the margin. So dangerous, right? Be careful with that. So leverage is a good thing when we consider how can we leverage our ability to earn, and we can make plans for that. Again, this was the chapter on organized planning where he's saying, let's go ahead and take inventory and see how marketable you actually are. Are you doing better than last year? Well, that's good. Oh, you're not in these areas? Oh, let's look at that, right? You can't solve a problem unless you can confront and acknowledge the problem, right? So, okay. Now on the other side, on the capital gains side, we look at leverage. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah. But it's also, I often have said to people when they have, somebody's calling me from England. I'll get back to my English friends here in just a moment. But in fact, this shirt is from England. How auspicious. I'm wearing a Burberry shirt that I bought in Heathrow Airport. But but you can look at this as sort of a financial, weapon of mass destruction, right? Yeah, I can put in a little bit of money and make a lot, but I could also lose a lot. So why am I telling you all this? I'm telling you because, again, this is the chapter on organized planning, right? To be judicious and to maximize the likelihood of your investment in yourself and into the marketplace, right? Whatever business you're building, right? Just as you would maximize your investment when you consider how much exposure, how much leverage, right, am I looking to have? I've mentioned to people who are getting into trading, which I've got some experience in, that it's an easy way to make a lot of money and to lose a lot of money. You can do both. It works both ways. So step carefully. Make sure you get good advice. I was at one point, I was getting advice from a guy who had made millions in that space. And, or maybe I should say had won millions in that space, because he wasn't actually earning money or making money. He was actually winning money in successful trades. And if you do that consistently enough, you get to a massive fortune. And it was $1,000 a month for me to sit on a Zoom room with him and attempt to follow his trades. But here's the rest of the story. While this person had been at it for years and had amassed a fortune and could sit there whistling Dixie while a trade was going against him and he's losing thousands of dollars, right? Like, we just dropped 10 grand, 40,000 on that one. We'll make it back, right? So that was his posture on it. Anyone here just have, lose 40,000 in a couple hours watching charts go in the wrong direction? Yeah. No. Okay. So here I was with my heart pounding out of my chest, right? Because I was not in that position. Wrong time to get into highly leveraged, I shouldn't say gamble, okay? Because although some people will say, yeah, that's pretty close to gambling, and there's a rush with all that too. Hey, I just won that trade, man. I got $300. Okay, it's kind of addictive. Look, we got people that show up in Vegas. A lot of us are familiar with Vegas. I'm going to Vegas in a month. In fact, I'm speaking there, and so you get out of the airport. Let's say you don't even get out of the airport. Let's say you land in Vegas. Anyone who's ever flown into McCarran Airport in Las Vegas, Nevada, as you step off the plane out of the gate, there's the slot machines right there inside the airport. And there's the people, with their pulling the handle on the one-armed bandit, right? Will they ever learn? I don't know. So if you're into gambling, can you do that judiciously? Yeah, I get that there's an entertainment factor to that. There's a rush, I gambled once. I went to Atlantic City because I grew up in New Jersey, and we drove down to Atlantic City, and I went to the wall of ATM machines and put in my card and got $40, proceeded to lose it, never went back. So there's my Atlantic City experience. Probably a good thing that I lost it, right? There's obviously small stakes. But hey, at the time I was a mechanic. I was working hard for my money, making like 30 grand a year or whatever. All right. So I know I'm on a tangent right now, but do you have a perspective on things you could do to stack the deck in your favor so that you could earn more in less time, right? That's a leverage kind of a situation. Even if it's just you, even if you're a solopreneur at this stage, are the things that you can do. Edward and I had this conversation just a week or so ago, right? Here's a group, an agency, some marketing people who could invest in Edward's enterprise, right? And obviously there's a cost to that. Is that good leverage? Well, I guess we'll find out, right? Who's taking the risk? Oh, well, not Edward. Oh, okay. Well, that's got to be worth something, right? So if people are willing to put up money to create, business volume, demand, right? For here's this competent guy, they're investing in Edward's competence. I'm using Edward as an example right now. Okay. So now Edward, because he has developed himself to the point where he is competent and he has mastered, certain things, he is a worthy investment for those who would choose to put their money to work because they can't do what Edward does. Here's Edward working, okay, and here's their money working. Let's put that together. Oh, now we've secured advantages. Right now we've stacked the deck in our favor. So what's Edward's job and all that? Go be friggin' awesome, man. Go make a spectacle of yourself, right? So when Edward shows up, the job gets done. Okay. And Edward shows up enough, it gets the job done enough. Well, now he's got, a bit more buying power, right? Well, let's go ahead and invest in that thing now. Let's get my money working for me. So it's the upward spiral. But the idea here that Hill had offered me today, as I reviewed a little bit of the audiobook, the idea was that you yourself must be personally marketable, and you must be aware of your value, and you must seek to, in an organized and well-planned way, ever increase the quality, quantity, and the spirit of the service that you provide. He gave us that equation or that quotient or whatever it is, right? So QQS, the quality, the quantity, and the spirit of the service you provide. That this would be a great determinant in the actual, recompense, your ability to be marketable in the public and to sell your personal services and what have you. Quality. Have I given the best possible quality? Great question. Let's look at that, right? Quantity. Have I delivered abundantly? Have I become efficient? Have I found ways to speed that delivery? And spirit. The example that Hill used in the book was it the oil people versus the gas people, right? So we're talking about heating your home or whatever, right? And so it was the gruff and not friendly oil people who would come around to check the meter and to give you your bill and push their way through the door to check the meter, right? And then the gas, propane or natural gas or whatever people came and they said, "Oh, pleasure to be at your service, sir, and can we convert you to gas heat?" And so yeah, they did a lot of damage to the oil people, and I may have those reversed. I think that was the order of it. But you get the point here, was that the gas people in this example, they had a spirit of service which attracted many customers. How many of you heat your home with oil these days? I don't know. Okay, I know when I grew up in New Jersey back in the 1970s, we had an oil tank in the ground, and the truck would come and pump. I think it was number 2 diesel. I think it was diesel fuel. That or it was number 1 kerosene, one or the other, fuel oil. And they'd pump it into the tank, and that's how we would heat our house. That plus a wood burning stove. My goodness, am I aging? Am I dating myself here? Is that what's happening? A wood burning stove where there was like this insert into the fireplace, right? And then there was this metal thing, and you put the logs in there, and it had a little blower, and it would get hot, right? I mean, don't touch that, kids. You'll burn yourself. In fact, you could put a little kettle on the little shelf on top, and you can heat up your tea water or something. I guess I'm done talking. I love you guys. Thank you for being here with me. We're talking about optimizing our own ability to earn and doing that in an orderly way. Any thoughts on this? Virginia, you're unmuted, please.
Yeah. So you're dating yourself, but the world changes so quickly now that, can you imagine the things, Trinity's going to say, "Oh, I remember, when I wore earbuds," or
right.
So yes, it's amazing on that. It's funny you should be talking about the stock market, because I just actually sold 10 shares, which is not a lot, but 10 shares yesterday that were having this incredible run because of rumors and speculations. And if you were go out there, you'd see what's still running today, what's like one of the lead stocks. I'm not going to say what it is, but the point is, I bought it at 175 earlier this year, and it's up to 452. I'm taking my money. Okay. Because it could just as easily come back down. And it did that earlier, a few weeks ago. It went really spiked almost to 500, and then it came back down. I'm like, okay, next time it spikes, I'm selling and getting out of it. I don't need to be greedy. I made a good profit on that, and I'll see what else I can do. And if it does something crazy like Amazon, it goes to 1,000, which I don't foresee because its competition sure isn't anywhere close to that, then, it doesn't matter. It's like you say, it can really be a risk. Napoleon Hill. So my little journal here, where we're supposed to do our savers and our affirmations and little, I had written some notes a year ago, and I haven't done it. So I need to go back and do this. He says, get a notebook, like a little pocket-sized notebook, and do two things. Number one, write clear description of your major desire in life on the first page. What are you willing to accept as your idea of success? The only limitations are those you set up in your own mind or allow others to set up for you.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so now that you do your clear expectations, the second step is to write a clear statement of precisely what you intend to give in return for that which you desire in life. Number three, memorize them both. Memorize both statements, repeat at least a dozen times daily. I haven't done this at all, much less a dozen times daily. And always end your statements with this expression of gratitude for the blessings you are gifted with at birth. And his statement is, I ask not for divine providence or more riches, but for more wisdom. Anyway, that's what it is. Definite purpose. So yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to carry it around with me. I'm going to memorize it. I'm going to say it, follow the law, working with the law. And I'm just really trying to get the end of the year in focus already for the start of next year and what I'm going to accomplish within a year. And it's going to be amazing.
Oh yeah. I'm excited. Congratulations on your tripling your money with the with that particular stuff.
Yeah. So it's just like, okay. I just wish I'd bought Zoom when I wanted to, when it was down to like nothing. And I didn't do it because it's like way up now. But anyway, okay.
Beautiful. Thank you, Virginia. I'm glad you're here. Hey, look at Stefan, everybody. He's out there doing the doing something. Yeah. Anybody else want to share? Come on out. Come on down. Anybody else? All right. So yes, Stefan's here. Let's get Stefan unmuted. Hey, buddy.
Hey guys, how are you? Sorry,
Good.
I haven't been on the few days. I got a job at a vineyard. I'm actually pinning up all the nets right now.
Wow.
Yep. So, and then after that, I'm going to be working in the tasting room and possibly even making the wine as well. So, kind of excited about that. And yeah, just wanted to say hi.
Awesome, man. Glad you're here. Yeah, question for you. Do you guys still stomp on grapes with bare feet? Like, is that how that goes?
There is one winery nearby that does, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
It's just for a festival. They don't actually serve the wine that you
they don't?
on. They just do it for like a.
Well,
no, they do it kind of like as a gimmick.
Okay. I guess they take all the grapes that didn't make the grade and just throw them in a vat and you can go stomp on them. Okay, very good.
I probably just don't want foot fungus in your wine.
Yeah, I don't know. That's why not? Okay, very good. Thank you. Thank you.
I have one question for Stefan. Yep. Where are you?
Sugarloaf, New York.
Oh, upstate New York, huh? Nice.
Wow.
This reminds me very quickly. Do they trim off the old branches or the branches that are fallen and don't doing well, or do they rinse them off and tie them up to do well?
Basically do this.
Pretty clean.
They put them up on a trellis, and then they put the nets around them so the birds don't get them. But yeah.
Wow, that's nice grapes.
There's an example in the Bible that Jesus gives towards the end about the pruning the vineyards and everything. And it was always, we prune off, the father prunes off, or the vineyard caretaker prunes off what is not needed, what is no good, and gets rid of it. And so that's always been touted as, okay, so you get rid of your qualities that are not good in your life. But there's this whole book that it has a completely different interpretation. And I found that very interesting. And the interpretation based on what a vineyard owner and the person tending the vine said, no, the vines are too precious to cut off unless they're dead. We take them off the ground, we rinse them carefully, we dust them, and we elevate them to their better self, and we tie them up. And so he wrote this whole book based on that standpoint of Jesus's teaching, that no, it wasn't to get rid of stuff, it was to lift you up and bring those qualities into a better quality. I just thought it was interesting.
Like the theory behind it, like what you're saying is that you, like any plant, you take it and you, sorry, hold on, someone's trying to call me. Hello? There we go. You take the plant and you cut off parts after you take it up off the ground with the trellis network and everything. Then you trim off the fruits that are towards the top that you don't need. Like you only want to have a certain amount of fruit per vine so that it can concentrate everything into that one fruit. And it's the same thing with like corn or like people who do cannabis or apple trees or pear trees. Like they cut off the branches that are producing too much fruit so that they can concentrate everything into the others. So
we get rid of the bad part, the part we don't need, and we elevate the rest of us.
It's
I'm
not
trying
bad.
to make an analogy here.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's just, it's all, yeah. But I see what you're saying.
Very
Awesome.
good.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Good to, thanks for the tour, Stefan. Good to see you, my friend. You look great in that hat, by the way. That is awesome.
You're like, cool.
Yeah. Let's go to Cyril in the United Kingdom. Hey, Cyril, what's going on, my friend?
Hi, everybody. How you doing? You okay?
Good.
It's interesting because I have for many years sought to, as you put it, to expand on what I was doing, and in some way, and some areas that worked, and some areas it didn't work quite so well. The problem I usually found was, where do I go to next? Usually when I diversified within the area, not often, it on occasion worked well, but not necessarily all the time, because I was always looking to try and do that. So I just found it very difficult to know what the next step was previously, or over most of my life, in terms of whatever I was working on, to try and improve. But definitely all of it was to try and improve my, well, some of it was about improving my skills, and other bits of it were about trying to improve income and stuff. But it's only recently that I've been kind of moving more towards money rather than necessarily other things, but still within this. But I've always found that the diversification and where to move to or to add to I found difficult in very much in the past. Now it seems more logical. Stuff seems more logical in terms of where I am now, but then, yeah, whether it was education and trying to think, okay, what would be the best path forward? What areas what facilities do I have? So recognizing within myself what facilities I have that might be useful to improve. Also, a stumbling factor that took me a long time to work out, that I was stumbling over, was that I always came from the point of view that to improve the parts, you improve the whole. Now, that works in many areas, but I found in the end, you're actually better off working on the parts that are doing quite well in most cases. And then only on certain things within that do you then improve those bits aren't quite working so well. Yeah, it took me a long time to realize that I was putting lots of energy into areas that weren't going to give me a bigger payoff. So because of that thinking about improving the whole, improving the parts, improve the whole. So yes, those are my thoughts.
Awesome. Thank you, Cyril. Yeah, I think we're looking to optimize. In this case, the topic that I introduced, from Hill was, taking inventory and seeing what parts we have optimized and which ones we could do better with, right? And that obviously creates a better whole. Now, if you got something that's so far out, let's say you've got a beautiful car, but a wheel is off, right? That's it. I mean, the car's not going, right? So there could be acute or more subtle improvements that are necessary. So Thank you, my friend. Glad you're here. Stefan, you got your hand up again. Come on out, brother. What's going on?
No, he had a really good point,
Mhm.
Cyril. And basically, I kind of feel like that can go even more broadly in the sense of just figuring out where your place is in life in a lot of times.
Mhm.
Because, like, for example, like I went to school to be a chef, and one of the most impactful parts of the entire education that I had there was when we went to California and we went to the vineyards and we went to breweries and things like that. And photography is definitely still my passion, but it's almost like a full circle kind of thing. And it's like every job that I've had along the way has taught me different skills that have gotten me better in general as a whole. It's not necessarily the easiest route, but it is what it is.
Awesome.
So guess I'm
Thank you,
just still
sir.
learning. Yep.
All right. And Edward, come on out, my friend.
Yes, sir. Thinking about the topic, the organized planning, and taking the inventory of your results, your activity, or whatever the case may be, some of the things that would have to be added to the QQS formula, the quality of the spirit, would be in order to keep to hone your skills, to get better at what you're doing. You got to make sure you take inventory of the associations, like this call, okay? The associations that you put into your life, the people that are like-minded like you, are they going to uplift you, or are they going to take away from you? And you have to hone that and make sure that is cultivated so that you keep the right kind of vibe all the time. And then you got to be accountable to, the system or the technique, and keep getting better at being accountable as far as that's concerned, and getting feedback on that. Your own integrity, like your book talks about, is everything. Because if you don't do what you say you're going to do, then not only are you lying, but you're lying to yourself, which is the biggest lie you can tell. And then you got to make sure that you're anchored in truth, because truth is very important. Because if you don't anchor yourself in truth, then you lose all the way around. And then you got to be loyal to your DMO. That is a cultivation that is a part of organized planning. Are you doing what you need to do every day to get the results that you need to get? Because one of the things I've been, from what I've learned from you guys, is the big three every day. Number one, you got to write out your goals. Number two, you got to post, and number three, you got to study. And I do that every day, and it's embedded now. It's more than a ritual; it's a habit. And then you got to stay around the association so that you get the feedback, so they can look at your work and see the numbers and see what it is that's going on. Because even someone who's successful needs to have some sort of feedback to make sure they're being honest about their output. And then you have your activity. Is your activity at the level that you want to get it to? Because if it is, then you should be happy and you want to go to the next level. The journey is where the action is. It's not the fruition. Fruition is like, it's a letdown. You always got to keep going up, because the journey is what it's all about. And then the mindset. You got to have a mindset that keeps you around the fire. That's where I show up, because it just keeps my mindset where it needs to be. Because if I keep my mindset where it needs to be, then guess what? I'll have a focus where it needs to be. So all these things are part of that QQS formula, but they're more, I guess, enigmatic in terms of, what everybody thinks about when you do the organized planning. So those were my thoughts.
Beautiful. I think this is the first time we've used the word enigmatic on this forum.
I got to go get the dictionary.
Yeah, right. So, like,
Not even sure how to spell
not
it.
clearly defined, more vague, nebulous, right?
What's the first letter? An I or an E?
E,
Okay.
enigma, right?
Enigmatic.
Right.
You got me on that one,
There
Edward.
you go. And Edward, great shirt, by the way. Man, that is a nice looking shirt on Edward.
You said
All right.
Hawaii, right? Hawaii.
Yeah.
I had a pink one too, but I decided to wear this one.
Oh, okay. Very good. All right, my friends. Well, thank you for being a part of this conversation. I'm going to be back here with you at 6 p.m. Eastern US time. So any thoughts, ideas, questions, anything you want to take up, I'm here to listen. I will see you all then who are going to participate. In the meantime, maybe take a look at Think and Grow Rich. I know right now we're into Wake Up and Live by Dorothea Brand, which came out the same year as Think and Grow Rich. So we're kind of on a 1930s kick right now. But yeah, look at like what Virginia brought up, right? These were the instructions that Napoleon Hill gave. And they're not hard, but it's actually easier to just not do them, right? So, well, let's do them then, right? Your choice. So anyway, love you guys. We'll see you real soon. Have a great rest of your day. Bye for now.